I start so many seeds inside, way more than I can plant outside into my beds. But that's on purpose, and the reason for that is I like to have some backups. And so what happens is when they're in those 50 cell trays, if you just left them there, they're going to flounder. The roots have nowhere to go, and they're just going to eventually die because they're just not going to do well. But what I do is I take those extras out of those 50 cell trays, or whatever the number of the tray count is, and then put those transplants into a nursery bed. And so that's what I have right here. I leave one of my 16 beds available for the transplants. And so here is that. So right now I have some kale, some turnips, some chard, some bok choy, some giant red mustard, and several varieties of lettuce, and I have some spinach down there. So these are doing really great here because once they get transplanted into some real soil, the roots have a chance to really spread out. I could leave this in place, but I've planted it pretty tight, knowing that in the upcoming weeks I would be able to transplant them. So today is one of those days. I have a perfect opportunity to do that right here in this bed. Sweet potatoes. These looked great yesterday, but we had a hard freeze last night and it killed back all of this foliage, which is fine. I'm going to be harvesting the sweet potatoes later today, and so this bed is now going to be vacant. And now I have an entire bed that I can transplant from my nursery bed, and that will be all full of cool season crops. Also, right here with my peppers, the same thing is going to happen here. You can already see some of that die back from last night, and so I'll need to pull these out in the next few days. I have a few peppers on there, but again, another bed that's totally available for me to plant into. I have plenty of transplants for that, so that is another opportunity in bed number 2. Another opportunity is to fill in spots in existing beds where you still have cool season plants. And so what I'm going to do, I have a bed over here, Brussels sprouts, and I've got room for some lettuce. I love to interplant. I don't like to leave any blank spaces when there's an opportunity with plants. So let me just dig up a couple right here and look at those roots. You can clearly see how they've spread out. If those were just in the 50 cell original tray, you wouldn't get this, not even close. And the plants have continued to grow. They look great. So those are going to transplant beautifully. So let me just take 2 greens and 2 reds over here. This is Salanova lettuce, by the way. It's the easiest thing. You've just got instant access to your own private nursery from a nursery bed. So here's my Brussels sprouts. And you can see that I've already planted some of that a week or 2 ago. But I have an opportunity right here on the edge because Brussels sprouts, they're slow to get going, and once they get going, they get taller, and that leaves a nice open space beneath them. So I'm just going to open up this opportunity right here, pull back the soil with my knife, close it back up, and at mature size, that lettuce is only going to get that big. And I can just cut it back, and I don't even threaten these plants in any way, or vice versa. I'll do the same thing right here with this spot. And literally, this only takes a second to pop this in here, especially when you have good loose soil. So I can take 2 more seconds and bring this green lettuce over here and pop this in the same way. But do take advantage of a nursery bed to do exactly this or whatever you need it for. But just having access to all of those plants that are well on their way, they're rooting out, they're good and healthy. There's no substitute for being able to do that, and you will not regret it. So always plan ahead, grow some extra seedlings, and you will put them to use just like I'm doing today.